Today we're talking about taking a sledgehammer to the high walls around one of the world's most exclusive investments, real estate. There's a new technology that's completely changing the game, and we're going to show you exactly how it works.
So, let's just start with this question. Have you ever looked at a giant skyscraper or a brand new development and just thought, how in the world does a regular person get a piece of that? For as long as any of us can remember, it's felt like a private club, like a castle with these really high walls and a big moat around it. But why? Why has it always been that way?
Well, to really get why the new way is so revolutionary, we first have to understand just how broken the old way is. So let's take a look behind those locked gates and see what the problems are with traditional real estate investing.
Okay, so the traditional method for pooling money to buy big properties is called syndication. And honestly, it's just full of friction. It's slow, it's expensive, and it is seriously inaccessible for most people. The whole system was designed ages ago, and it really shows.
And here's the first huge wall you run into. The price of admission is typically $100,000, or even more. That one number, right there, slams the door shut on almost everyone.
And okay, let's say you do have the money and you get in. Well, get ready to say goodbye to that cash for a while. We're talking 5, maybe even 10 years where your money is completely tied up. There's just no easy way to get it out if you need it, which is a massive risk for any investor.
Now get this. Even among the small group of people who are legally allowed to make these kinds of investments, and we'll talk about who they are in a sec, a staggering 95% of them are still shut out. Why? Simply because the minimum check size is way too high.
And it's not just tough for investors. Look at it from the other side, for the people trying to actually get a project built. The fundraising process is an absolute marathon. It can take 6 to 12 months just to pull all the money together. And those delays aren't just annoying, they add serious costs and risks to the whole project.
So, you've got this fortress, right? It's slow, it's exclusive, it's expensive. But what if somebody created a key, a piece of tech designed specifically to unlock those gates for good? Well, that's where tokenization comes in. This is the technology that's at the very heart of this digital revolution in real estate.
So, what on earth is it? It's actually a pretty simple idea. You take a real physical property and you convert ownership of it into digital shares. These shares are called tokens, and they're all recorded on a super secure digital ledger called a blockchain. Think of it this way. Instead of having to buy the entire building, you can now buy just one single digital brick.
Let's break that down just a little bit more. First, you have fractional ownership. That's what splits the property into all those small, affordable pieces. Second, each one of those little pieces is represented by a secure digital token. And third, and this is the really important part, everything is recorded on a blockchain. It's a shared, unchangeable record book. Once a sale is recorded, it can't be secretly changed or deleted. That creates a rock-solid, transparent history of who owns what.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Digital tokens, blockchain, sounds a bit like the Wild West. But this isn't some unregulated free-for-all. For this whole system to work, it has to be legal and safe, which means operating within existing financial rules. In the US, that means playing by the book written by the Securities and Exchange Commission, or the SEC.
And that brings us to a really key term you need to know: accredited investor. This is a legal definition. It's the SEC's way of identifying people or companies who are financially savvy enough to handle the risks of these private investments. It's a rule designed to protect everyday investors, and it's the main audience for these kinds of offerings.
So who qualifies? Well, generally speaking, it's someone making over $200,000 a year, or $300,000 if you're filing with a spouse. Or it could be someone with a net worth of over $1 million, not counting the value of your main home. There are also a few other ways, like having certain professional certifications.
To stay compliant, real estate sponsors basically have 2 main playbooks they can run, and you can see them here. Think of Rule 506B as a private party. You can only invite people you already have a relationship with. Rule 506C is more like an open house. You can advertise it to the public, but you have to check everyone's ID at the door to make sure they're all verified accredited investors.
Okay, so the theory is cool, but what does this actually look like in the real world? This is where you really see the power of tokenization. It completely collapses the timeline for getting a deal funded.
I mean, check out this timeline. It's just wild. A property owner can submit their deal info in about 15 minutes. The complex, expert-level legal docs, they're drafted in just 5 to 10 days. After a quick review, they can launch and start raising money. The entire thing, from start to finish, which used to take 6 months or a year, can now be done in less than 2 weeks. It's a total game changer.
So what does this all add up to? Let's zoom out and look at the big picture.
This is where we see the transformative benefits for everyone involved, from the investors to the property owners.
This slide just says it all, right? The old way, you needed $100,000 or more to even think about it. The new way, minimums can be as low as a few $1,000s. A year-long fundraise turns into a process that takes weeks. Being locked in for a decade gets replaced by the potential to trade your shares down the line. And all those mountains of manual paperwork, they become smooth, automated digital workflows.
So if we boil it all down, here are the key takeaways. First, you've got accessibility. The door is now open to so many more investors. Second, speed. Projects can get funded in a fraction of the time. Third, efficiency. All the slow, manual junk gets automated. And finally, confidence. Because it's all built on a foundation of professional, compliant legal work, it builds trust.
And that leaves us with this one final, pretty mind-blowing thought. We just walked through how this works for a commercial property, but if this technology can turn any asset, a skyscraper, a luxury hotel, a vineyard, even a famous piece of art, into a divisible asset that can be bought and sold almost like a stock, what does that mean for the future of ownership itself? Really, what's next?